Hey, it's Stu, and it's a bright, sunshiny day, and I have been outside just reading a book that I will tell you about at the end of this video. But I wanted to take a little break from the sun. I live in a basement apartment, so it's nice and cool in here, and do a TBR, which I haven't done in quite a while. It's Asian American Pacific Islander Month. The month of May in the United States, and I have some books. I actually have a pretty big pile of possibilities, which I'm not going to go over in this video. These are books that I'm going to call actual TBR, which I have full intentions, unless the book doesn't work for me, to read. Quick correction, I also did a sort of TBR video, or books that I'd hope to read for Arab American Heritage Month, and just a quick check-in on that. I'll get to them. Yeah, as I suspected, it would spill over into the first week of May, because I am also reading other things to be discussed in other videos or just in the wrap-up videos. But I have 2 books left, and I think, yeah, I'll get to those most likely for sure, because they're small books. So let's kick it off with my one digital. I'm trying to pare back on what I'm reading digitally because I have a lot more natural light time, and it's a great joy for me to be able to read in natural light in physical books, which is pretty much the only light that works for me with physical. Otherwise, I have to mess with background and stuff on digital. So without further ado, I plan to read, and this has been in my Libby checkout. Now I've renewed it twice. So this is We Computers by Hamid Ismailov, and it is translated from the Uzbek by Shelly Fairweather Vega. Never read an Uzbeki book before, or a book translated from Uzbek. So I thought, it was sitting around wanting me to get to it, and me putting it on my Asian American or Asian Heritage Month TBR is a surefire way I will get to that book. I have The Last White Man by Mohsin Hamid on audio. And I plan to do immersive perhaps, because I read Exit West on audio as well, and he reads it, and he reads this one. And I do like it when authors read their books, depending on the kind of book, but I really enjoyed Exit West, read by Mohsin Hamid. And I have quite a Mohsin Hamid collection, and this has been sitting kind of on my potential, because I did a sort of like books with eyes on the cover, and then they kind of it didn't work out, and I spread it throughout my reading. So this is kind of being not shelved, but sitting on the work this in for a while, kind of like We Computers has been renewed twice. So I've decided that for Asian American Pacific Island Heritage Month, this is a Pakistani American author, to make sure to get to this book, hopefully in the audio and or audio immersive. The next book I have queued up is The School for Good Mothers by Jasmine Chan. I got this from the Friends of the Library, and then I saw it several times in Little Free Libraries. It's strange how they kind of, books must like be really popular, and then, people are done with them, and it's just interesting how the thrifting world goes. Yes, this is another book that I was changing a display space, and this was because of its color on a display space, and decided, okay, I'll read it instead of shelve it. So it's been sitting around for a couple of weeks, seeing how it got shuffled in, and so we're working it in as a definite TBR for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. The best we could do. It's a graphic novel by TBR. I started this. I couldn't help myself. I started it because I just wanted to see. I don't read graphic novels. I have another graphic novel that's translated from the Korean. It's still on my shelf. I meant to get to it a year ago on Asian American Pacific Islander, and I just didn't. I have someone who's waiting for this book once I'm done reading it, who loves this book, who gave their copy to someone else and then never got it back. So when they found out I had a copy, they were super excited to be on queue to get this book. So that's extra incentive. And I had it displayed for quite a while. I've redone that display. I've redone all my displays actually. So that's kind of how this ended up on my TBR. And I am just really excited to commit myself to really my first complete graphic novel. And then finally, the book that at the beginning of this video, I promised to talk about more is The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong. From the moment, so I'm about a third of the way into this book. I knew I wanted to read this book. I actually checked it out and it was a skip the line checkout. So I was like, I'm going to grab it digitally because if it's not on the weekend, I'm working and the energy that I have in the afternoon, sunshine hours could be different. So I wanted I wanted to do it hybrid, digital, physical. Then I decided this is a much anticipated read for me. I loved On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous. I loved that book. Ocean Vuong is decidedly one of the very few authors that I don't unhaul or won't unhaul. I don't know if don't sounds like it's been decided for a while. It's a pretty recent decision that I was like, here's some authors that I'm just going to keep. Like, this is going to be my very limited collection of not ones that I turn out. That being said, if I have a friend that's like, I need that book, can you pass it along? I'm not going to feel any kind of way. From the first sentence, the first paragraph of this book, I was drawn in. I love Ocean Vuong. I just really want to say this book in the third that I'm in is so Americana that I just want to give a huge plug for the Pulitzer, which is going to be announced at the end. No, in the middle of this coming week, as we're like on the 2nd, maybe of May when I'm recording this. So the Pulitzer is going to be announced in just a few days. And I will really scratch my head if something like Buckeye, no offense, wins. When we have these opportunities to tell of Americana from diverse voices, this book resonated with me about the story of a small town America so much. And Ocean Vuong's prose is absolutely delectable. And it really, like, every once in a while, I love to read with range. I love to read. I like to read things that I don't even necessarily really enjoy, but try to figure out what other people enjoyed about it. I try to be really open in my mind and heart about reading. And like probably every reader out there, when you snuggle into something that just feels like a warm hug, or like the sunshine that I'm getting today, or like the fresh breeze on a really hot day, and you say, this is why I'm a reader. This is why I read, and it doesn't have to be pristine every time, but the times it is, you know from almost the beginning that this book is just it's gonna be for you. That's how I felt about this one. And it was a really joyful feeling because I have been reading, I could almost say somewhat laboriously, in that I was reading the Women's Prize for Fiction. So I was just kind of like reading to get through things, not necessarily to enjoy them. And some were enjoyable, some weren't. I definitely reached some brutality, fatigue in that set of books that was curated by the Women's Prize judges this year for their long list. And so when I started this book, which was last night, I knew it. I was like, I'm just so happy. Like, I'm so glad I made space for this book. So this is my inaugural AAPI book right here at the beginning of May. And I couldn't recommend On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous enough. And so far, I'm just really enjoying The Emperor of Gladness. I'll talk more about it in the review video. And that's it. Those are my 5 books that I'm committed to. As I said, there are quite a few books that I have on my pile of possibilities that I would really like to get to this month. as it's kind of front of mind, by authors from Asian countries in translation into English, or Asian American, Asian Canadian, Asian. I don't think I have any Asian Australian or Asian, maybe some Asian British. Anyway, so kind of just, it's an opportunity to go through my shelves and think about what do I want to get to. And I do have a pile of possibilities. I'm still reading some international booker. I'm still reading some other things that just kind of I've been trying to get to for a while. And I've also just slashed, I had I put a lot of books on hold on Libby, because, you know, if you read off Libby, you find that you kind of always have to like see what's on hold, and like it kind of starts to really shape the way that reading's going. And so there was a point when I, as going through the Women's Prize for Fiction, was doing primarily digitally checked out books from my libraries, and I just had a lot on hold, and then they all kind of came off hold at once. And so then I had to really just be like, no, I get to read physical books. Let me pare this down, and let me not worry about when and if I get to any book. I hope to be a reader my whole life through, and there's just beautiful books to get to, and I hope to read a little bit, you know, most days of my life. So I had to let some things go. We're going to start with this TBR, a couple other things holding on, and I'll see you in the review video.